Good morning.
Good morning.
Just so that people know what we're doing today, this is June the 6th, 2014, and we're here at the Jewish Community Center interviewing Alan Sandler as part of the Roots to Boots project for the Dallas Jewish Historical Society. And the way we'd like to start this morning, Alan, is I'd like to ask you, if you could, to give us a little bit of history about your family prior to South Africa. Tell us what you can about your grandparents, where they came from, and how it was that they made their way to South Africa.
My mom's parents were both from Lithuania, and they went to South Africa when a lot of the Jews left Lithuania, and some decided to go to Israel, some decided to come to America, and at the time South Africa were trying to get immigrants to come there and were offering them, I don't know, programs to help them settle in. So that's where my mom's parents came from. My dad's parents, my grandmother on my dad's side came from Lithuania, and my grandfather came from Lithuania, and my grandmother came from Sheffield in England.
Okay, what period of time was this on both sides?
Early 1900s.
Yeah. And where did they settle?
They settled in a little town in Johannesburg called Troyville, which is a tiny little town. You would say, if you compare it to Dallas, might be like East Dallas.
Did both sides settle there?
Yes, both sides settled there, and obviously they had children. And my mom was one of three. She was the youngest. She had an older sister, an older brother, and then her. My dad had an older brother, and it was him. And my mom and dad actually met at Hebrew school when they were 8 years old.
Tell me a little bit about the businesses that your grandparents were involved in.
My grandfather on my father's side was a jeweler. And my grandfather on my mother's side was, I think, in like soft goods business. And not educated people, but very, very honest people. When I had met people who knew them, both had, they always said what honest people they were. So that's the history. They died, I didn't know my mother's father. In fact, I am named after him. My dad's father died when I was like 4 or 5 years old.
And you say the name of the town was Troyville?
Troyville.
Troyville.
Yeah.
And how many Jewish families were in the town?
There were quite a few. I mean, when you come to think of, obviously Troyville's not a very big little town. It's part of Johannesburg. There were a few Jewish families because I think that's where a lot of the immigrants settled in that area. I think you find that when people immigrate, they sort of go with their own people. So there were lots of Russian Jews in that area.
And do you remember there being a synagogue there?
Yes, it was called, the synagogue that they went to was called Jeppe Synagogue. Jeppe is also a little town just right next to Troyville. And that's where they went. In fact, that's where I had my bar mitzvah.
Okay. And was it an Orthodox synagogue?
Yes, you would call it more a conservative.
More conservative.
Yeah, conservative synagogue.
And what about school? Were you in a Jewish school, or were you in a public school?
No, I went to a public school. The junior school, which you call primary school there, goes from 1st through 7th grade. Actually, 1st through 9th grade, I'm sorry, I get mixed up. And that was a public school. I used to walk to school every day, or ride my bike to school. And we grew up, when I grew up, I moved to a little suburb called Emmarentia, or Greenside. It was, one side of the road was Emmarentia, one side of the road was Greenside. And then when I went to high school, I ended up in an all-boys school, but it wasn't a private school, it was a public school.
Public school.
Yes.
Was there a feeling of Zionism in the community in which you lived?
No, not necessarily. There were lots of Jews and non-Jews, and we all got along very, very well. In fact, there was a synagogue across the road from us. We weren't members of that. We were members of, as I said, the Jeppe Synagogue, which was a few miles away from us.
So you didn't have experience of being in any kind of a Zionist youth group of any kind?
No, there were some, but I never participated in that.
What types of after-school activities did you participate in?
I did all sports. I did soccer, cricket, swimming, tennis, track, anything that prevented me from doing homework, I did.
It sounds like a lot of boys I know.
Yeah.
Okay, so did you go on to education beyond?
Yes, I attended the University of the Witwatersrand, which is the big university. You would say it was maybe like the UT of Johannesburg. And I did I became a CA, which is a chartered accountant. And what I did was I went to work during the day and went to school at night. So I did that for 5 years. And then I worked for a CA firm for 5 years, then went to another one, then became a controller for a soft goods company. And then I immigrated to America.
Did you marry before immigrating?
Yes, I did. My first wife actually grew up around the corner from me. We went to the same school. She was 2 years younger than me. And my oldest son was born in Johannesburg, and when we left in 1978, he left the week before he turned 2.
And you left with your first wife?
Yes.
Okay. So what was the reason for leaving South Africa? And what year was that?
We left in 1978. My wife's parents had left 2 years previously to go live in Israel, and she was alone. She didn't have any family there besides her grandparents who lived in Cape Town, and they wanted us to come to Israel, and I was reluctant to go to Israel. Not because of anything, but that I'd have to learn another language, and I just decided I didn't want to go. And then they came to America, and they, I wouldn't say made us come, but they said we should come to America, and so we decided to immigrate. We first came as visitors. We didn't have any papers or anything, and we came like a lot of people did. We came as visitors and just never returned back.
Were they here in Dallas?
No, we lived in New Jersey first for 3 years, from September of '78 until June of '81. And then once we got our papers, which I got through the CPA firm that I worked for, we came to Dallas.
And did you come to work for the same CPA firm?
No, I came to work for a telephone company. That was the time that Bell was breaking up. And so the telephone companies were starting to form, and this was a telephone company called US Telephone, which was a long-distance telephone company. And so I came to work as the director of financial reporting.
Here in Dallas? In
Dallas from 1981 until 1983. And then I joined a group of South Africans who had a jewelry company, and they asked me to come and work for them.
And what company was that?
It was called Verolite Gold. And so I worked for them as their CFO, and that was until 1987 when the company was sold, and the company that purchased our company brought in their own CFO, and so I joined my father-in-law at the time in a very small office supply business, and got involved in sales and gave up being an accountant.
So are you currently in sales?
I'm still in the same industry in the office supply business.
So what's the name of the company?
The company that I'm with now is called Preferred Business Solutions. It wasn't the company that I joined that my father-in-law had was Johnson Ribbon Office Supply Company. And that evolved into something else, and that was sold. But I'm now with a company called Preferred Business Solutions.
Now, when you first came to Dallas, did you know any other South Africans
Yes, I
here?
did. Yeah. In New Jersey, we had another kid. My second son was born in New Jersey in 1978. So when we came to Dallas, we had 2 little boys. And we knew quite a few people in Dallas. My first wife had a couple cousins in Dallas,
Can you give me some names?
Yeah,
Because we recognize some of the names.
Mervyn Sacker and Linda Sacker,
Uh-huh,
and then Malcolm Mentor and Gillian Mentor.
uh-huh.
And a guy that I worked for was Norman, I can't think of his last name, but I knew him from South Africa and a few other South Africans, and you got to meet more every week. More South Africans were arriving in Dallas.
Mhm.
And then the South Africans I worked with for Mel Greenberg and Avril Greenberg and Basil Cohen and Carol Cohen and Basil Heyman and Dot Heyman, and they had family, and it just grew and grew and grew, and I know a lot of South Africans.
So, would you say that the integration into the South African community was an easy one for you here in Dallas?
Yeah, very easy.
What about the integration into the general Jewish community outside of the South African portion? What was that like?
It was pretty easy for us. We had 2 young boys at the time,
Mhm.
and they both attended Akiva for a couple years.
Mhm.
My oldest son ended up leaving when it was time to go to first grade. He went to public school for a year and then to private school. My middle son stayed at Akiva for 3 years, and we integrated pretty easily with the rest of the Jewish population in Dallas. We're still friends with some of the people that my kids went to school with, and then they ended up at private schools. We were fortunate enough to send them to private schools, and then we had a third son in 1989. So there was a big age difference between my oldest and my youngest.
And what school did that child go to?
All my kids graduated from Green Hill.
From Green Hill?
Yes.
Okay. Any reason that you might want to share as to why they did not continue with the dual education program with the Kiva?
No, I just, I didn't grow up like that, going to a Jewish day school, which might have been right, might have been wrong, but I just felt that to be more integrated into society, if you want to call it, it was good for the kids to go to not a Jewish day school. I knew lots of kids that went to Jewish day schools that ended up at Green Hill, because I think at the time Solomon Schechter, as it was then, only went up to 8th grade. Or finished at 8th grade, so a lot of the kids ended up at Green Hill, or I knew a lot of the kids because they were some South Africans, and so there was no real reason why we decided not to let them continue at Akiva or Solomon Schechter or something like that.
And so when you came to this community, did you choose a synagogue to attend?
Yeah, we first attended Tiferet, which was a little too orthodox for me at the time, and so we ended up at Sheriff. All my kids were bar mitzvahed at Sheriff, and I enjoyed Sheriff, but as I say, when I married my second wife, she was a member of Temple Emmanuel, and that's where we ended up.
And what's your second wife's name?
Her name is was Frauda Levy. Frauda Levy, and she married a Pollock, and her and I got married just over 10 years ago.
Any children in that marriage?
No, she had 3 kids of her own. So between the 2 of us, we've got 6 kids.
Wonderful.
I've got the 2 oldest, she's got the next 3, and I've got the baby.
And is she a native Dallasite?
Born and bred in Dallas.
Born
in
and
fact, where we live, I think she said when she got married the first time, I think she lived in Houston for a couple of years. Other than that, I think she has lived within 3 or 4 mile radius of where she grew up. She grew up on Yemeni.
Oh, well, that's right around the corner from where I live. I live on Current.
Okay, so that's where she grew up, and her parents had the house, I think, for 47 years and sold it a few years ago, and
I probably went to the estate sale.
Possibly. So her family's a prominent family in Dallas. Bernard Levy, Bernard and Ruthie Levy.
Very nice.
So,
How did you meet?
my oldest son is a teacher of Green Hill,
Uh-huh.
and one of the things that they do at Green Hill for the upper school, when the kids arrive, they have to check in, and I was getting divorced, and I used to take my younger kid to school every day. And then I would go see my oldest son, and the lady that he used to check in the students with knew of my wife. They were friends, and she was in the throes of getting divorced, and so she said, I have a lady for you to meet, and she wouldn't give me her name and number until I was divorced. And another couple that I knew from Green Hill also had the same person for me to meet, and it took me about a month to call her, and we went out one night, and she's the only person I took out since I got divorced.
For sure.
So we went out for a couple of years, and got married 2 years after we met.
Very nice.
So
Aside from your business life and the life with your children, are you involved in any organizations in the community? Anything?
yes, I am very involved in soccer. I've been coaching soccer for a long time. In fact, I coach soccer at Green Hill. I coach my 3 boys, but now I coach girls soccer.
Oh.
And so I take time off during soccer season. I'm very involved with the referees in the soccer community. And in fact, I'm going to be going in August to the Maccabi. I coach the little girls soccer team.
Wonderful.
So we'll be doing that. I was on the board at the JCC in the late 80s for a couple of years. And other than that, no, I don't really get involved in many organizations.
Do you like to travel?
Yeah, love to travel.
Where have you been?
I've been home, obviously, back to South Africa. All my family's still back in South
Uh-huh.
Africa, the ones that are still alive.
Uh-huh.
My wife and I found a favorite place. We like to go to Santa Fe.
Uh-huh.
And so we've been there a few times. And then just anywhere, just here and there, nothing in particular. Just like to go out, even for a weekend or so. We like to go around.
Is there a special place in your bucket list that you'd like to go to?
I'd like to go back to Israel. I went there when I came out the army in 1971, and I haven't been back, and I'd like to go back to Israel.
You'll find it very different.
I'm sure I will. I've heard that from a lot of people.
Yes, it's really changed
Yeah.
quite a bit. I think you'll like it.
Yeah, so that I think that's in our plans to go to Israel.
Are there any customs that you brought with you from South Africa that you continue to practice that would be somewhat different from what we normally do here?
Any custom that I bring back is I don't like the American chocolate.
Ah.
So when I go back home,
Mhm.
I go with a case with clothes and one empty case. And then when we come back, that case is full of chocolate. So
What's so different about it?
just the taste, I don't know what it is. I just prefer the South African
Are
chocolate.
the beans different, or do they put less
I-
sugar, or
you know, I
anything
think
you
it's-
haven't figured out?
I think it's a mixture of everything.
Mhm.
And there are places around the States that do sell South African food.
Where do I go in Dallas to get South African
There
chocolate?
is a little place on Coit Road. In fact, I just went there. It's called Quick Stop, I think it is, or Quick Shop. It's half a block south of Frankfurt on Coit. It's on the west side. There's a little strip shopping center,
No,
and it's got a lot of South African candy and
I'm gonna have to go, because
Yeah.
I've heard this thing about the chocolate
Mhm.
many times.
yeah, go in there and you'll like it. And
Okay.
my wife, she couldn't understand it until she tasted it, and then she realized that it is different.
Okay.
So
What's your favorite South African food other than the chocolate?
it's a thing we call biltong.
Uh-huh.
I'm sure you've heard of that.
Actually, I've tasted it.
Yeah.
We had a young man who, in the community, who unfortunately has passed away tragically, but He used to make it.
Yeah, I used to make.
Oh, you used to make it too? Why did you stop?
There were three of us that used to make it, and we used to make it in bulk. We used to sell a lot of it, and the last batch that we ever sold, the place that we had it in, the electricity went off, and so we didn't realize it, and we had to throw everything out because it went bad. And then the one of the guys that made it, he left Dallas. He went to live somewhere else and just stopped making it. But there's a place in South Carolina that I still get built up from.
Is it kosher?
No, it's not kosher.
Okay.
No.
'Cause
But
this
you could
fellow-
make kosher biltong.
Yeah, this guy here
Yeah.
made it. He made kosher biltong. It was awesome.
Yeah, you can make it, but the place in South Carolina is not
Yeah.
kosher.
And I wouldn't have any idea how to do it. I'd like to find somebody that's actually making it
It's
kosher.
very interesting.
I know.
It's a lot of fun. We used to have a lot of fun making it.
Yeah.
The three of us would make it and we'd sell it, and we never made money off it. It was just whatever we sold it for. Basically, we used to put back in.
How long does it take to make?
Depends on the weather.
Uh-huh.
We would make it start on, say, a Sunday and be ready the following Saturday or Sunday to cut it and
Okay, so it's
deliver it.
really a long-term,
Yeah.
long-term process.
Yeah.
Yeah. How big of a kitchen do you need to do it in?
We used to do it in the garage.
Oh, in the garage?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. You need like several grills or whatever?
Well, it's not a grill. You just you got to be able to hang the meat. You just hang the meat. That's all you do.
Ah,
You got to season it and hang it and things like that.
I'll feed my garage. I mean, I would love to have some anyway.
Well, if you go to that South African store, he has some.
He does. He
Uh-huh.
has some. Oh my goodness, that's another reason to go.
Yeah.
I think I'm going shopping
Yeah,
later today.
he does have it.
Okay. So when you left South Africa, you say most of your family is still there. What was their reaction to your leaving?
Obviously, they were upset, but they realized that I was married at the time, and my wife wanted to leave, and for most part, I think if the husband follows the wife, and it was hard. It was very difficult because I was very close to my family, but they realized that was it, and they couldn't stop me really.
But you say you go back often?
Yeah, I've still got my mom. My mom's still alive. My younger brother. My dad passed away a few years ago when I was there actually, visiting. And then I had a sister who passed away when she was 48. She was 3 years older than me.
Now, is your mom still living in Troyville, or?
No. She lives in a little. No, when my mom and dad got married, they moved to this little town called Greenside.
Oh, to Greenside,
Yeah.
I see. Okay.
So she lives in a town called Santon, which is, I would say it's like North Dallas.
Uh-huh.
She lives in a little gated community. She still drives,
Wonderful. So she's pretty independent?
very independent.
Okay. What kinds of things have I not asked you about that you think would be important for your family to know as a legacy and for us to know, generally about you as a legacy to the community?
I enjoy being with my kids, even though they are older. My middle son is married. He's got two boys. So
His name is?
Jason. My older son is Darren.
Mhm.
My middle son is Jason, and my younger son is Jared.
And where are they all living?
Actually, all three of them are here.
It's wonderful.
Darren is the teacher. He teaches at Green Hill.
Mhm.
Jason is in the benefits business, medical benefits.
Mhm.
And then my younger son has just moved back to Dallas. He was in a little town called Midland, Michigan. He's a sports broadcaster, and he's now working for ESPN Radio. So he'll be on the radio, I think on Sunday. He's got his program starting, and they're going to put him into different time slots. I think we try to do the best we could with our kids. Some of it worked out well, some of it didn't work out so well, but I think they know that both their mom and dad love them, and that we're always here for them, and just be good kids, be honest and good kids.
It's been a real pleasure speaking with you.
Thank you so much. I've really enjoyed this. It's been fun.
We've enjoyed it as well, and I think your story about your family is truly a legacy, and you'll get a copy of this when it's edited for your own family. And